Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Nice to see you. So, what did you freak out about the most when you were a kid growing up?
I don't really remember specific nightmares, but I think one of the things about the script that I related to was that the intensity of bad dreams when you're young, you know. It's like as you get older you learn to process what a nightmare is, but when you're young it can be very overwhelming and overbearing. And you know, I've got 2 young girls and I just know that when they've woken up from a bad dream it can take a long time to sort of shake it off and recalibrate really. So, and I thought that, you know, examine that really well in this.
How do you appease them when they wake up from a bad dream?
I think it's just time does that really, doesn't it? It's just they just sort of ease in and start to realise that it's not real, and you know, but you know, their body and mind reacts like it is real when it's happening. So,
what was the challenge of working with kids?
I mean, I've done a lot of working with kids in the last few years, and I think it's really important that you gain their trust. Really, they have to feel safe with you. So that you can really explore all kinds of different things, and they can do it in a sort of trusting, safe environment. And I think it's also to do with the fact that the kids are very responsive. It's not honed. It's not a craft that they've really sort of refined. It's much more instinctive, and you kind of have to change the way you work a little bit and kind of do that with them to get, you know, to play a convincing father and daughter. There has to be, it's not just about sort of doing lines, you have to develop a rapport for that to really transmit.
We don't always necessarily see you doing horror, so what was your attraction to this film?
It's a very particular film because it is a psychological. I think that people coming to this film might think it's a kind of standard horror, you know, there's something lurking in the bedroom and we're going to get sort of bumps and thrills and that kind of thing, and it's much sort of more interesting than that. You know, it really is, I think, about a film which I really do believe in, about how parents pass on to their children their fears. And it's true, parents pass on everything to their children, just sort of, you know, if there's something that deep down really worries you or unsettles you, children are very sensitive to that. And I think this film kind of explores how, you know, even in our subconscious sometimes we might do that to our children.
Well, without giving too much away, have you ever had to fight off an intruder? God forbid.
No.
If that happened in your house, would you be able to? Would you be prepared?
I think you ask any, and it's not just father, it's mother as well, that if their kids are threatened, I'm sure you're capable of almost anything, you know, to protect your children. I think it's just a gut reaction that every human being would have. Every animal has.
Madrid must be the most beautiful country on the planet. What was it like working there?
The food was fantastic. That was the biggest culture shock. No, it wasn't a culture shock, but I mean, I've been back to Madrid maybe 8 times since finishing this film, and I have to be honest, it's primarily to eat. You know, it's like the food in that town is so good, and amazingly the whole crew, I mean, they really know how to live, the Spanish, you know. That crew, all they wanted to talk about was food and wine every day. What did you eat last night? Where did you eat? What wine did you have with it? It's like they're all complete foodies and experts, and I'm a bit of a foodie, so I loved working with the Spanish crew. I found it very, you know, very alive set, very energized, and I had a really good time, and I made some very good friends there that I've kept in touch with that I met there during the making of the film.
So what else did you do in Madrid besides eat your way and drink your way through it?
It takes time. There's a lot of very good places. No, I mean, I spent a good while there, and my family came out and hung out as well, so they got to know it well. I really did genuinely fall in love with the place, and I had such a great time. I think it's they've got such a great way of life there. They've got the important things right, you know. The family's important, food's important, having a good time's important, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I learned an awful lot about Spanish wine, actually, to tell you the truth, because again, everybody seemed to know everything about wine, so I was getting recommendations every day. Oh, if you're going to go there, you got to have this, you got to have this.
How did you prepare for the role?
Even though I don't speak much in it, I had to put a lot of work into the Spanish, I have to say. because I was worried about that. I was shooting in Madrid. I was surrounded by a Spanish crew. I didn't want to open my mouth. Have 40 guys looking at each other like, this guy's supposed to. But so I did a bit of work on that, and they tell me I got away with it, and I have to trust them. So.
Are you like afraid of heights at all? Did you do that stunt up on the building?
I'm not brilliant with heights, I have to say, but no, I mean we just learned what we had to do. We had a few days with the guys that actually do that job, and just sort of, just learned what we had to for those scenes really. Yeah, I didn't feel it was necessary to go out welding for a few weeks.
Really? It would have been fun, no? But you didn't actually do the stunt then, on top of the building?
No, we did, yeah. But I mean, we were looked after, and it was safe, but we were on sort of wires and things. But no, we did all that.
So what do you think scares you at this point of your life?
I think any parent would say it's to do with the, well-being and welfare of your children. That's what my biggest concern. The things that frighten me most is that they're okay.
Do you curb them from using the internet and all that kind of stuff?
It's very difficult. I mean, it is very difficult. I did a film not too long ago that was all about the dangers of the internet and with young girls, and I have 2 young girls, but every phone now is a computer. Really, they can access everything, all their Facebook, all their internet. Like, it's all, we're walking around now with super powerful mini computers in our pockets. So regulating is hard. It's very hard. I think the best thing to do is just make sure they're well informed, so that they make the right decisions. And we keep very open. They don't have private accounts for anything, or it's all sort of open, and we keep an open dialogue. And I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah. Now it's like, if they're bad, you say no phone, no Facebook, no Twitter.
Used to be no TV.
Now you're doing a 360 playing Ernest Hemingway, and I know you went to Cuba.
Yeah.
So, wow, that must have been an amazing experience.
Amazing experience. I mean, his house there, the museum, is phenomenal, because basically when he died, his wife took all the expensive paintings out and donated everything else to the Cuban government, and they locked the place down. And they let tourists in, but only into the grounds, and you can look through the window. They knew I was coming, it was set up. I go in the house, everything's there.
Wow.
Like his book collection, his record collection, his clothes are in the closet, his typewriters, there was nowhere else in the world where you would have kept something like that. It was like you walked into somebody's home. It was really incredible. And they were incredibly lovely there, and so knowledgeable about everything Hemingway. I mean, he really has left his mark all over Havana, but the people at that house were so helpful. And I also went to Paris and did Hemingway's Paris, and some expert took me around everywhere that he'd lived, ate, drank, and so no, it was a great few months just immersing myself in all things Hemingway.
Do you have a favorite Hemingway novel?
I have to say, I'm a big fan of his short stories, and I think that's where you really see how incredibly sort of deft and skillful his writing is, and how sort of pared down. I think he's a very deceptive writer, because it looks kind of easy. There's this kind of simplicity and a rhythm when you read it that flows so easily, but it's so skillful and been so crafted. I think he really was a special writer.
Are you a Metallica fan? Because I know Lars,
yeah,
got a little role in there.
Yeah, no, Lars was great, and he's really good in the movie as well. No, I got on great with Lars, yeah.
So what is your next project?
I try and do the opposite. I try and change it all the time, really. I'm always looking for a new challenge or a new, I've just signed on to a film, and I'm getting ready to shoot a film that's set in 70s New York, which is a great sort of time and period, and again, it feels like something very new for me and something I haven't done before.
Is that Blood Ties?
Yeah. I'm always, I mean, it's, I think it's because I trained in the theatre, but I'm always trying to give myself new challenges. I do see it as, a career is something to keep taking on new things and to stretch yourself, and by doing that, hopefully, getting better.
Do you think theatre gives you that extra edge when it comes to performing?
I think it doesn't really, because I know there are some amazing film actors that I've worked with that have never trained and never done a play, and they are incredibly skillful, brilliant craftsmen, you know, it's like that, and they're great at what they do. But I think if you've trained in the theatre, there is a kind of discipline that's instilled, really. I mean, when you're doing a big Shakespeare play, you put a lot of work in before you turn up on that stage, you know. You don't want to be standing there not knowing your lines. There is no sense of winging it, you know. It's all, you have to put the work in, and I think that kind of transmits also into film. It just means that there's this kind of attitude to the work that is, you apply the same disciplines, really. It's, you know, and I think that is maybe the biggest difference.
I know New York is at Madrid, but would you ever consider doing a Broadway show anytime soon?
Of course. I mean, to be honest with you, it is one little thing that I've always wanted to do, to be honest with you. It's a play on Broadway, yeah.
Great seeing you.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.
You know, I've got 2 young girls, and I just know that when they've woken up from a bad dream, it can take a long time to sort of shake it off and recalibrate, really. So, and I thought that, you know, examine that really well in this.
How do you appease them?
I do. I think one of the things about the script that I related to was that the intensity of bad dreams when you're young, you know. It's like as you get older, you learn to process what a nightmare is, but when you're young, it can be very overwhelming and overbearing. And
what was the challenge of working with kids?
I mean, I've done a lot of working with kids in the last few years, and I think it's really important that you gain their trust, really. They have to feel safe with you, so that you can really
Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Nice to see you. So, what did you freak out about the most when you were a kid growing up?
I don't really remember specific nightmares, but
when they wake up from a bad dream.
I think it's just time does that, really, doesn't it? It's just they just sort of ease in and start to realise that it's not real, and you know, but you know, their body and mind reacts like it is real when it's happening. So.